folks, this is another Kaerimichi video. I didn't explain this last time, but I figure at the beginning of these videos it's probably best, just in case there's any newcomers here, that I just explain this is not one of my regular vlogs. This is a video where I just kind of walk and talk on my way home from work, and either talk about what's on my mind or what I've been doing today, or I answer some of my viewer questions. And I did one yesterday. I'm doing one again today because, well, for two reasons really. First of all, I have a lot of questions that I still need to and want to get to. So I figure, you know, why not just do another one again? But also, before I get to the questions, I wanted to address something from yesterday's Kaerimichi video. As I was editing it, I realized this, and then a comment also made me realize that, like, I came off sounding a lot more negative than I intended to. I really didn't mean to sound so negative towards, like, how accepting or how open Japanese people are, or specifically in Kyoto, how people are here. I really, like, that wasn't my intention. I meant what I said, you know, more or less, but, like, I didn't mean it to sound so negative. It's just kind of, you know, you ask any person who, any foreign person who has lived in Japan for a while, and they will pretty much all tell you there are times when you get really frustrated because there is a kind of, you know, a subtle xenophobia that exists here, and I don't want to get into it really hard because it's a deep rabbit hole to go down, and maybe I will delve into that issue at some point in the future, but that is like a deep well that you could talk about for a long time. I'm not going to get into it. I will say that, like, for all of the bad experiences that I've ever had, I have a million more great experiences. For any of the negative people that I've interacted with here, there's thousands more great interactions that I've had with people here. Almost all of the people that I've ever met in Japan have been completely open and accepting of me. Like, I haven't, like, I just wanted to make that clear, that's all. So yeah, it can be negative sometimes, and you know, that's not to say that that's unique to Japan. Like, you know, look at Donald Trump's campaign, look at how far he's gotten on a platform of let's build a wall and no more Muslims in America. Like, it's not a thing that's unique to Japan. There's people that aren't accepting of others all over the world. So, like, I'm just, I'm not trying to single out Japanese people either. But yeah, I just didn't want to let that negative note just hang there in the air without me addressing it, because, like, I really do love it here. And so yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. Also, before I get to the questions, I thought I would show you this place that I'm walking through a little bit more. So this is where I walk through to work, this amazing temple. It's called Myoshinji. It is, like I said before, it's I think it's a school complex, kind of like it's like the head of this sect, this particular sect of Buddhism. So, like, all of the monks come from all over the country to train here, and you know, for seminars or whatever, meetings and stuff like that. So it's really gorgeous here. And this is what I walk to. I walk through this twice a day, to work and from work. It's a great way to start the day and a great way to finish the day. I absolutely love it. It's beautiful here. So, so yeah, okay. I probably have enough time to get through one or two questions, so we can chip away at these questions here. Oh, okay, so I wanted to get to this one here. Lots of Jello. Lots of Jello. First of all, awesome username. I love Lots of Jello. You sent me a lot of questions, so thank you for that. I will probably just address your first question today, which is wa versus ga. How do they work, in all caps? Thank you. So I'm gonna put my phone away for a second. Hold on. So Japanese language, if you've never studied Japanese language before, you're gonna get a little lesson here, and I'll try and make it kind of as clear as I possibly can for someone who doesn't understand Japanese language. So in Japanese language, you have these particles wa and ga, and they have almost the same use and the same meaning in the language. If you take a very, very basic sentence, which like the most basic that you can get is like, you know, you have a subject and a verb. You use a wa or a ga, the particles, in between the subject and a verb. So like, let's take a really, really simple sentence, like me, I, so watashi, I, and let's use a verb, which would be like ikimasu. Ikimasu is to go, or it can be used for the future, so I will go. So if you want to use wa and ga in that sentence, you could say watashi wa ikimasu, I will go, or watashi ga ikimasu, it's the exact same meaning, I will go. They both have exactly the same translation. Watashi wa ikimasu, watashi ga ikimasu, both mean I will go. But they do have like just a subtle difference in like the context in which you would use them, why you would use them. And it's really confusing. I remember starting to learn this when I first started learning Japanese, and like it took me, it felt like forever to understand the differences and to get used to actually doing the differences. I promise you it's going to be confusing for a while, and you just keep practicing and you just keep getting it wrong until eventually you just start getting it right without even really thinking about it. But basically, the main difference that I remember learning, and this rings true from all of my experience, is that when you use wa, so watashi wa ikimasu, if you use wa, the focus of the sentence is going to be on what comes after wa. So in this case it's the verb ikimasu, to go. So for example, so like if you were going to say like contrast yourself with someone else, so like what I mean is you have, let's have another person, so Mr. Suzuki-san, okay, so Mr. Suzuki-san wa ikimasen, Mr. Suzuki will not go. So say there's a party or something this weekend, and so you want to say Suzuki-san wa ikimasen. Ikimasen means will not go. So that's the negative. So Mr. Suzuki will not go. But watashi wa ikimasu, I will go. So what that means, why that is the focus is on the verb there, you actually say it in English. Like when you're saying that in English, like Mr. Suzuki will not go, but I will go. You use a subtle intonation difference when you say the verb. You stress the verb a little bit. He will not go, but I will go. So there's a little bit of intonation. But in Japanese, they don't do that with intonation. They use particles and things like that in the sentence to actually give the stress on what they're talking about. So that's what wa is. So you're focusing, the important information of the sentence is whether or not the person will go, not who it is. Okay? Ga is the opposite. So the important information of the sentence, when you use ga, watashi ga ikimasu, that means watashi, what comes before ga, is the important information. That's what you're stressing in the sentence. And an example of when you would use that would be like, if someone asked you, who is going to the party this weekend? Then you could say, I'm going. Watashi ga ikimasu. And again, in English, you kind of stress, oh, I'm going. Like, who's going to the party? I'm going. You use your voice and your intonation to stress I will go. But in Japanese, they don't do that again. They just use ga to show that I am the important part of the sentence. I'm the important information of the sentence. I will go. Watashi ga ikimasu. So if you remember, the main thing for wa and ga, for wa, what's important comes after wa. For ga, what's important comes before ga. And that's the main difference between the two. There are some other differences in when you would use them and context things, but that's kind of the big thing. So if you remember that, that'll help a lot, hopefully. I hope that was kind of easy to understand. Again, like I said, like even if it's still confusing, like don't worry, because it's going to be confusing just until you get used to it. My advice would just be to practice with a native Japanese speaker as often as you can, and I know that that's, you know, not an easy thing to do sometimes if you don't know anyone, but yeah, try and practice, listen to I don't know, movies or TV, listen to what they're saying, and I guess, well, when you're starting to learn, that you're not going to understand anything probably, but yeah, the best thing to do is really to practice with someone who can speak the language, and they can tell you, no, in this case you use wa, or in this case you use ga, and you're going to make mistakes a lot at the beginning until you finally eventually get it right. And that's just how it works. That's learning any language. You just make mistakes a lot until you get it right. You know, I try to tell my students that all the time because they get so frustrated when they make mistakes, but yeah, don't worry about it. Don't stress too much about it. Just keep practicing. That's the important part. So anyways, that was my Japanese lesson for today. And I'm almost home again, so I'm going to stop there. I got through one question today. Man, we have so many questions to go. Thank you, Lots of Jello, for your question. And if you have any more questions, you know, keep sending them to me. I'm keeping a list, so I will get to them all eventually, I promise. Even if I have to make a video multiple times a day, I will get to them all. All right, thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you next time, all right? Bye-bye.